The View has actually gone so far insane that it could cost the Walt Disney Company the network status of ABC. Completely unhinged and off the rails after the inauguration, it has gone so poorly that people like Sunny Hostin and Anna Navarro are saying such terrible things that even the Disney board and shareholders may need to get involved.
If you spoke up against Trump January 7th, 2021, but you were there now applauding him like a trained seal, Donald Trump has not changed.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Pro Channel, where we as ever endeavor to explain entertainment, keeping you ahead of the culture curve. It is what we do, and we like to have at least a modicum of more sanity than those ladies on The View. Get ready, folks. This is a video that is unlike just about anything we have ever covered before. They have gotten so far this time that it now seems almost inevitable that Disney is going to have to either fire these women, retire these women, or get rid of The View entirely, because this is tiresome. They are so far out of the bounds. We're going to show you, by the way, at the end of the video, why Disney really does have the threat of completely losing the license for network status for ABC if this kind of stuff continues. You got to see it, though, to believe it. Click the like button. Here we go with The View. And if you thought they were crazy before, you ain't seen nothing yet.
Them, and it was so many other people. The thing that really, I think, was spotlighting Snoop is because of the things that Snoop Dogg said 10 days before the inaugural in 2017. And so look, if you opposed and stood up against Trump in 2017, but you were there now, if you spoke up against Trump January 7th, 2021, but you were there now applauding him like a trained seal, Donald Trump has not changed.
I mean, you heard the audience. Now, this audience is filled with the craziest people you can find. And yet even the audience goes, whoa. Why? Because Anna Navarro is talking about black men. She's talking about Snoop Dogg. She's talking about others. She's talking about Nelly. She's talking about black men. And she's saying that if you as a black male support Trump, you're a trained seal. That is a woman on The View. That's the context of what she's talking about. This is Disney. Disney money pays for this. We'll show you in a little bit why they may lose their network status. I mean, everything's on the table at this point. And the board of the directors at Disney needs to get a hold of this fast. Listen, outside of politics, take out the politics. Nobody in their right mind thinks you need to have women on daytime calling black men trained seals, right? You don't need to have that happening on your network television program. You don't need to have it happening, period. It's a horrible faux pas. But my gosh, we'll continue. It's going to get worse.
You've changed.
Yeah. I oddly agreed with Ilhan Omar on this. I think it's the first time I've agreed with her. I don't come for the artist. It's the same way I felt about Carrie Underwood. I think that people see it as part of American tradition to be part of this. They can issue statements if they want to clarify what their views are on Trump. I don't like coming for the artist. I think if you feel like people need to be boycotting Donald Trump, which I disagree with, I'd go to the politicians. I mean, if Barack Obama can show up for him, why shouldn't Snoop Dogg?
There's clip one. At least there's one alternative voice on here. Here we go, though. Get ready. It's going to get worse.
Yeah, I just wanted to put a quick button on it because I was not offended by Biden pardoning his family because I think...
Well, Sunny probably wanted a pardon for her husband. Let's not forget that Sunny Hostin is someone who right now her husband is facing some serious allegations, serious charges in a RICO case for insurance fraud. And let's not forget that Sunny Hostin is in the hot seat because on The View, she may have said something that tipped off those who are seeking to get a guilty on that. So Sunny's not feeling too sunny lately. We'll see what she has to say, though.
Just like Maya Angelou said, when someone shows you or tells you who they are, believe them the first time.
Right.
We've already had a Trump presidency. We know that this administration is a vengeful one. We know.
Folks, not to be political. When did lawfare happen?
this is a vengeful man. And if I can protect me and mine, I would do that. And so I think we need to show Joe Biden some grace. But the other thing that I wanted to talk about that a lot of people are talking about is that there are these Black performers. You mentioned that there were entertainers at the inauguration. There are these Black performers that were performing for Snoop Dogg, Nelly, a couple of others. And I saw Keith Boykin, a friend of mine, say something that I thought was really important. And
before she plays this next clip, I just want to tell you, the effort here from the legacy media, and it's sad to watch them do this because they're trying to throw their weight. Sonny Hostin and The View, they're trying to throw their weight right now, and they don't have any. So it's really sad to watch. It's like seeing somebody in a sumo competition who just lost 300 pounds and they don't realize it, and they're being thrown out of the ring, but they still think they can do something. They're trying to say to Black performers, get back in line. That's what they're trying to do. Forcefully. How dare you step out? It's not going to work. It's not going to work. The entire culture has shifted. But get ready, because what she's going to do next, I just want you to think, if you're Bob Iger, if you're the board of directors at Disney, if you're the C-suite at Disney, I want you to think about how you're responding to the idea that this is happening on your network, your daytime. Here we go.
I wanted to play that clip.
If you look at Donald Trump, the man who would refuse to rent to Black people in the 1970s, who tried to lead a lynch mob against 5 Black and brown kids in the 1980s for the Central Park case, who refused to allow Black casino workers to have a prominent place in his casinos in Atlantic City in the 1990s, who spent 5.5 years lying about Barack Obama's birth certificate in the 2000s, who came into office and then attacked Black people like Colin Kaepernick, who attacked Ruby Freeman and her daughter Shay Moss for simply doing their jobs as Fulton County election workers. You dishonor those people when you go and perform for this man who has done nothing but dishonor Black people.
Now that's an attempt to, of course, rage bait with race bait. And it's on CNN. It's on CNN for a reason, folks. It's on CNN because that's the only place that still wants that kind of stuff. And CNN is a failed cable news channel. It's failed. MSNBC has failed as well. MSNBC has been spun off from its parent company. It's no longer even affiliated with NBC. They're being allowed to hold on to the name for now, but MSNBC has been let go by Comcast because it's such a travesty, such a horrible piece of platform. And so MSNBC has to find somebody to come in and buy them now. They're wandering alone in the wilderness, and CNN is right there with them. CNN, by the way, just settled a major defamation lawsuit in which they lost, and then CNN jumped in to settle the rest of it before punitive damages happened. Why? Because CNN defamed a U.S. veteran hero who was saving people in Afghanistan. And how did they defame him? By claiming that he was using a black market to take advantage of refugees. And it was wrong. And they were sued and lost over it, defamation. Now, imagine that you are Bob Iger, and imagine that you're the Disney board of directors, and imagine that you're the Disney C-suite. Imagine that you're anybody that has any stake in the Walt Disney Company at all. And Sonny Hostin and The View is turning over daytime to CNN for rage bait, race bait kind of messaging. Imagine that you're sitting there and you're like, okay, wonder what's on our ABC station today. You turn it over to The View, and they have essentially said, here, CNN, you take over. Because how long was that clip? That was not a 5-second clip or a 10-second clip. Sonny Hostin is essentially saying, I don't want to express this opinion. I don't have the ability to express it this well, so I'm just going to hand this off to CNN. I'm going to offload my work to CNN, and CNN, you can do it. Nobody's watching CNN, but let's put CNN on our network and espouse their views that have sunk CNN to an all-time low. Boy, oh boy. And let's put things from CNN on our network at a time that we are threatened by potentially losing our network status here at the House of Mouse.
For me, even though I didn't watch any of the balls or anything, I think what Keith said is so important for us to remember that this is who Donald Trump is.
So she's an ignoramus. She doesn't watch the stuff she's supposed to watch to be able to cover the news. Her job is to cover the news. She's refusing to watch the news that she's supposed to cover. She's a delinquent student. She's absent. She has nothing to add, so she pulls in CNN. Think about that. Pulls in CNN to do her job for her, and then puts that vitriol on the Disney ABC network at a time when their network status could be threatened by those kinds of things. Last clip from The View, and then I'll show you why Disney needs to get a hold of this and fast.
The irony of it.
The irony of it, because Martin Luther King not only wanted racial equality, he wanted economic equality.
Yeah.
And that is something that people tend to miss. And I want to remind people that he said that Black Americans deserved reparations for the injustices they faced. He argued that reparations were a form of justice, in fact, not charity. And he said, quote, "It's all right to tell a man to lift himself by his own bootstraps, but it's cruel jest to say to a bootless man that he ought to lift himself by his own bootstraps."
Yeah.
And so in thinking about that, and Donald Trump saying things that this country would be a meritocracy, you're talking about a man who didn't become the president of the United States because of merit. He had no political experience whatsoever. He had no business experience. He was given everything that he has. He is a legacy hire. He is, if anything, a DEI hire, a didn't earn it hire. And so, those are just some of the things that I was thinking.
Turning into The View right now is like watching people inside a nightmare they cannot escape. And it's a nightmare that they have created because their vitriol, their venom, the number of hoaxes that they perpetuated upon the American people has all led to this. All of it has led to this, where they can no longer escape the effect of what they have done now for years and years and years. And that is, no one is listening anymore. It could get worse, though, folks. This is from the FCC.gov. It says, in exchange for obtaining a valuable license to operate a broadcast station using the public airwaves, each radio and television licensee is required by law to operate its station in the public interest, convenience, and necessity. Generally, this means it must air programming that is responsive to the needs and problems of its local community of license. Why does that matter? Why would I bring up what the FCC says about these stations that get to use the airwaves, i.e. the networks, i.e. ABC? Well, let's go back to December, because now I think the legacy media is dealing with the reality on the ground that this administration that's coming in, rightfully or wrongfully, it's coming in with teeth. It's not the same as in 2016. In 2016, President Trump then came in and seemed to be a bastion of goodwill, who very much misunderstood how much Hollywood and the politicos were going to work to destroy him. And so this time, I mean, we've seen a record number of executive orders. We have seen, the DEI departments across the government have been eliminated. At 5 p.m. Eastern today, they must be disbanded, and everyone who works for them must be on paid leave. And that means essentially severance. That's going to ripple through corporate America, by the way. DEI is over. It's over. So this is an administration that's coming in with a purpose and is going to do what they have said they will do. Again, rightfully or wrongfully. You decide. You get to decide whether you think that's good or bad. But back from December, it says, Trump's FCC pick sends stern letter to Bob Iger ripping Disney-owned ABC News for role in erosion in public trust by Alexandra Steigrad. President-elect Donald Trump's pick to head the Federal Communications Commission reportedly took a shot across the bow at Disney CEO Bob Iger and the Mouse House-owned ABC News over the erosion in public trust when it comes to the news media. Incoming FCC chair Brendan Carr fired off a letter to Iger on Monday, 10 days after he agreed to settle a defamation lawsuit brought by Trump, saying Americans no longer trust the national news media to report fully, accurately, and fairly. And that comes to us according to CNN. Love the circularity? We'll go with that. Love the circularity. Carr went on to cite polling data and added, ABC's own conduct has certainly contributed to this erosion in public trust. For instance, ABC News recently agreed to pay $15 million to President Trump's future presidential foundation and a museum and an additional $1 million in attorney fees to settle a defamation case. Carr's stern letter also suggests that ABC was taking a heavy-handed approach in negotiations with its local affiliates. Now, this all matters because the government decides, ultimately, if Disney and ABC get to hold on to their network status. Can you imagine what it would mean to Disney to lose ABC as a network status channel? It would be tremendously bad. It would have widespread impacts in the company. It is something that the board and everybody associated with the leadership at Disney should be doing everything in their power to avoid that happening. The idea that the network would lose its status. And yet on The View, they're calling black men who perform for Trump, quote, trained SEALs, unquote. Yet on The View, they're saying vitriolic, terrible things and offloading their time to CNN to essentially run cover for them to say the things that they're not willing to say. I don't think it's going to work. I don't think it's going to hold sway with the FCC going forward. It is a new era, and Disney needs to quickly wrap their heads around the fact that The View is damaging them greatly. Now, I'm not here to tell you whether you should watch The View or not. I'm not here to tell you what the politics of The View are and whether or not you should agree with them or not. This is a business video, if you can believe it. Disney is a business, and the business of Disney is to, by all means necessary, hold on to that network status of ABC. And The View seems to be absolutely at odds with that goal. It'll be interesting to see how Disney navigates this going forward. But the kind of stuff being said on The View is now outside of the scope of what I believe shareholders should hold as acceptable. They're out of the rails. They are completely off track. And hopefully Disney can get it back, either by replacing some of these women or by adding a lot of new women who would moderate the conversation, or just getting rid of this altogether. Clearly that doesn't seem to be what Disney's doing because they just expanded The View into the weekend, but Disney does this to their own peril. If the Walt Disney Company is one of the only companies to hang on to the ideologues and choose a partisan future, I think they're imperiled in the current administration's shadow. But that's just what I say. Now you let me know what you believe. Drop a comment down below, folks. Like, share, subscribe, click it, stick it to the algorithms. It is the notification bell. And folks, we want to thank you again for a huge start to the year. Appreciate all the viewership. And 4 videos a day right here every day on the Pro Channel. Love having you here. It's an honor every time we get to share time with you. Thank you for having been here. Folks, until the next time we get the joy of spending time with you, keep learning, keep growing, and keep having fun.
This is Wilton the Troll reporting for That's Park Place, and I'm surrounded by loving and adoring people who are peacefully trying to make sure that poor kids aren't cold in the winter. And just behind me, you can see a totally natural bonfire for baking cookies or making marshmallows.
Yeah, so, Wilson, we're really appreciate the effort and stuff, but we're looking for real and, accurate news reporting on that Park Place.
So not like most news outlets, huh?
No.